This is On the Subject, the show discussing film, TV, and beyond, with your hosts Logan Noggle and Zachary Jackson, featuring Malcolm Russell Nelson. Everybody, go with the theme song.
I'm Logan.
I'm Zach.
And Malcolm, he appears to be holding up a bunch of cards. He's gesturing for me to read them. Okay, he says, Merry Palentine's Day. Say it's carolers, because everyone knows you send carolers. All right. He says, with any luck, by next year, I'll be on one of these podcasts. And it's a bunch of shows that I don't want to name drop because I'm jealous. But for now, let me say, without hope or agenda, just because it's Palentine's, and that's the time where you tell the truth. To me, you're perfect, and my wasted heart will love you until you sound like this.
From WBZ Chicago, it's an hour of stories.
Merry Palentine's Day.
Merry Valentine's Day.
Merry Palentine's Day.
Aw, that's right. It's the time of year where the three of us get together and we reminisce about love, romance, comedy.
So, happy Valentine's Day, guys.
I don't know why I keep wanting to do the song from The Grinch. The hoorah.
Hoorah. We're gathering around to talk about our favorite love stories, romances, couples, all that in TV, film, and comic. A whole bunch of sentimental guys at the end of the day.
I say let's start with like best couples in like all media.
So, yeah, best power couples in media.
Yeah, in media, in
Yeah.
comics and film.
We'll do it, go around in a circle. Be no surprise. I got to start with my favorite comic, Why the Last Man, and Yorick and 355, which...
That's a bit of a spoiler.
Spoilers, because there is a TV show coming out.
Yeah.
In the comic, they do get together, but it's my favorite, and there's a lot of...
great relationship.
Yeah, there's love and tragedy that happens in that book, and it's really good.
So one of mine is Scott Summers and Emma Frost from X-Men. Everyone always knows Scott Summers and Jean Grey. That's boring. That's stupid. Get her out of there.
Yeah,
Emma
once
Frost
they made
is
her in the
way
comic,
more interesting.
they're way more dynamic,
and it's such a good dynamic because she brings out the best and the worst in Scott. Since she used to be a villain and now she's like a recovering villain, but she's still not 100% heroic, you know. And
it plays up more of his Boy Scout nature that he was like always told he was. So
exactly.
It's
I understand why people think the Cyclops is a bit of a DSEK, you know, but like this brings up the best bits of him, which is awesome. She's amazing for Scott. That's a great relationship.
Yeah, I think like without that relationship, like X-Force type stuff wouldn't have happened.
Would not have happened or would have worked.
Yeah.
Like any of that, like them moving to San Francisco and like starting Utopia and all that, just like none of that would have worked if it wasn't for the two of them. Yeah, it's a super interesting dynamic. She makes him more Magneto, which is cool.
Yeah, it's a good like opposites attract type thing.
Yeah.
For me, one of my favorite couples is Alana and Marco in Saga.
Also, Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah,
Good couple.
Brian K. Vaughan's is good. Yeah, I like. It's like that they both have attitude. They're not like great people, but they're good people.
Yeah,
They're trying.
Yeah.
and
they want to be good parents.
Yeah, you actually see some relationship struggles that feel real. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh dang.
Yeah, like especially in this like fantastical world, it's like oh, hey, look, actual things still happen.
My next one is so this is a weird, still on comics, but has to do more with the cinematic universe. It's Cap and Bucky.
That was gonna be one of mine actually. Cap and Bucky is 100% on my list.
I actually think the love circle for all of them is really great because you got Bucky and Natasha like in the comics is amazing.
Yep.
Cap and Sharon Carter
And
also really good.
Amazing. Yep.
But in the movies, the couple relationship that Cap and Bucky have,
there's so much love there
so
between
good.
the two. It's specifically like that Steve feels for Bucky.
Yeah.
There's so much love there, and that's so incredible.
He's like Chris Evans' Cap is just like the apologetic like partner, like, oh my gosh, he's okay. He had too much to drink. He forgot what he did last night. he's sorry about it and he's trying to change and I'm gonna change him. And Bucky's like, I want to be better for you, but I have this past. Like, will you forgive me? And like, it's just really great love because they want it to work, and I want it to work for them.
Yeah.
I just want them to be happy.
Yeah.
I also like that, like, even though they're both like superheroes now, Bucky still sees Cap as a scrawny little kid he needs to protect.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
It's like when you have those friends that you've known since they were little, you always kind of go back to them being little, and you're like, wait, you were the little guy. Yeah, it's really good.
It's so good.
In comics, I also like Doctor Doom's love for himself. Just 'cause he's one of the characters that like just is so obsessed with himself. He's got an army of robots that just look like him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's because no one is more superior than him.
He's got like a
the
big.
best.
Yeah, he's basically a villain because he doesn't want other people to be better than him.
Yeah.
It's great.
He'd fix the world if he wasn't so egotistical.
Yeah, exactly.
Comic wise, I love Jesse Custer and Tulip from Preacher. That is a great. I like relationships between damaged people. Specifically like in my media. Like I love that. And another one on my list is the perfect example of that. But like I love Jesse and Tulip because they're both people who they shouldn't be together because they both have real. They're not okay. You know what I mean? But, but they work so perfectly together.
I think why it works in comics or in like fictional stuff, you see like the broken couples work because for whatever reason, people are better at writing like fixing people than healthy people trying to be
Yes.
together. Because like
healthy people being together is boring.
To watch. Right?
To watch.
Yeah.
Yes. Not in real life.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't
like,
want anyone to be worried. I'm very healthy.
Yeah. Same. That's what I was like. Same. I'm happily married in a healthy relationship. But, I just think makes it easier to make the points they want to make. That's why, but it's kind of cool in Saga because you have like fantastical war happening. So then you see like the little moments that aren't like, oh, those are like real relationship moments that aren't like huge deals, but you're seeing them as like real things. Whereas like in other books, they have to make the stakes bigger and more dramatic. Like they're super broken or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And because everyone's like, no one's perfect. So
I got one that goes off of Malcolm's last thing. Two broken people are Kevin and Nora and the Leftovers, which is like an amazing relationship because they're both broken for similar reasons. Like one, her entire family left in like the incident that happens in Leftovers, and then Kevin, his family has like left him basically, but like not physically. They just have grown apart.
Yeah.
It's just very real for like another show where it's like
That's a good real parallel.
Yeah. On the TV front, I mean, these are all gonna be a little more melodramatic because TV stuff's more soap opera-y, I feel like. But I'll just rattle like Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother.
Healthy relationship.
Which is not the best show.
No. It's a problematic show. But that is a great relationship.
It's
and
good to see.
show.
Yeah, it's good to see a healthy like couple in there that kind of battle through everything together. And
especially on a show about relationships and problematic relationships.
Yeah.
It's healthy to see one that works.
And then they don't force any real problems until later on in the show, which is like stupid because like they were already fine.
It's the Jim and Pam thing.
And same with doesn't say Jim and Pam's another good one where like they always clicked and they finally get together, but then on TV you don't know what to do with that, so you have to make problems. But it's cool when you see those like like things clicking.
I have another TV one. I hinted at it earlier. Like, it's probably my favorite relationship in media right now is Jimmy and Gretchen from You're the Worst, because they are two absolutely terrible people. They are garbage dumpster fire people. But somehow the two of them together, while bringing out the worst in each other, also like make each other a little bit better and make each other a little more tolerable and teach them how to be people as opposed to garbage dumpster fire monsters. That's such a good, strong relationship. It's so interesting.
And it deals with like depression.
That whole season where like Gretchen's really going through the depression is so interesting. And like, it's so real and honest how like, Jimmy doesn't get that, and she's clearly going through something, but Jimmy just doesn't get it. And you just want to like, those are people that you root for because you're rooting for him to just like figure it out and be like, no, there's a reason why she's like crying in your car. Like, don't be an ass about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. If you guys haven't seen You're the Worst, I think it's one of the best written shows on television, and it's about to end. And
Yeah.
It's real good. Real stressful, but real good.
OG power couple for me is also Spidey and MJ from like back in the day, like growing up
From the 90s cartoon.
90s cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's like
You
me
want
as a
that,
kid
you want
watching
that, like,
a couple,
brown
yeah.
jacket, blue jeans,
Even-
MJ.
And then even like the Tobey Maguire, like, oh, it's the girl next door, like, you know, you see it when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I want to grow up and have that kind of yeah. So that's like little Logan going like, aw. I have a few other because I was trying to like pull the internet for like, oh, what are some other like power couples that I might not know about? You have like Midnighter and Apollo,
Great couple.
Harley and Ivy, which I haven't read that like dynamic because I don't really care about Harley Quinn.
Same.
So when I was like reading about it, I was like, oh, Harley Quinn and like Poison Ivy together and how it kind of humanizes Poison Ivy and gives her something to like fight for other than herself. And that's kind of like what I read about. I was like, oh, that actually sounds like a really cool kind of like the power dynamics and stuff we were talking about with other relationships. So, because for two characters I don't really read about or care for, I was like, oh, that's
not bad.
interesting.
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
it does kind of humanize both of them in a different way. And get some of them out of unhealthy situations. Yeah. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage is a thing, or was a thing, I should
That's
say.
a good, like, no, it is still a thing.
Oh, yeah, but I meant the TV show.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
But also, yeah, like
Right,
in
that was a
comics,
thing,
they like
yeah.
have a baby. And
They have
like,
a really interesting relationship in comics.
they also have like one that actually
interesting
continues.
to
It's like the
track.
continuity actually like tracks and they evolve and grow.
Yeah, they've made that track really well,
Yeah.
which is cool.
One thing I dislike about like TV shows and comics is when a storyline like that goes on too long. It's like the creators feel like they need to ruin it.
Yeah.
Like, because I really liked Black Panther and Storm together.
Yeah.
And they got rid of that. And then, I mean, like every couple essentially. Like
Right.
everything. I was waiting for Brooklyn Nine-Nine to mess up Santiago
And Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glad that hasn't happened yet. We're forgetting like my favorite comic one. Oh, it's...
Gambit and Rogue from the
No.
90s X-Men show.
No.
Mon Chéri.
Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, all the way. That's the OTP, as the kids say, the one truest pairing.
OTP.
OTP.
You know me.
Go ahead and drop in a clip of Zach singing a song.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, you know me.
Another couple I enjoy on TV, it's not an actual couple, just like a pairing, is Will Graham and Hannibal in Hannibal.
Yeah.
Because there's like two messed up peas.
That's
in
an
the same
interesting
pot.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of there's some kind of, I think there's a love and understanding.
There is, yeah. But
on that. Like they grow to have a love through their understanding of the other.
yeah, they bond on this level that other people can't.
Yeah, like this unreal level. There's a real bond there, which is cool. Yeah, that's scary.
Or you just bring up Hannibal every single episode, that'd be okay with me.
Yeah. And yeah, just in Mads Mikkelsen in general. Let's jump from couples just into how about comics? I feel like it's our short list.
Yeah.
Comic book love stories, or even like whole like Why the Last Man and Saga have like a love story.
Those
going
are
on.
stories about love. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as like comic stories about love, and this is controversial, but Identity Crisis is a story that is all about love. Like the the core thesis of that story is love, and it's about how, you know, there's some really gross stuff in that book. I'm not gonna lie to you, like there's some rough stuff in that book, but it's all about love. Like the last issue of that, or the last part of it, is so focused on like how the whole plot was about bringing people closer together and stuff, and it's really interesting in a sick, sadistic way.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting thesis statement on love and what love means to a superhero and to a superhero's significant other.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
No, it's an intense book.
It's an intense book, but it's one of my favorite DC stories. Just because that's an interesting note, you know.
It's like that's one of the reasons why I like DC stories more than Marvel usually. It's because they get that type of stuff right.
Yes, exactly. That could be a really sweaty story.
Yeah, like their
That could be real
characters
bad.
are more out there than Marvel for the most part, but they get these like grounded personal storylines like that down.
Yeah. Where I feel like their characters aren't always grounded, but then they get these stories that like give them heart.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah. Pretty much most books by Jeff Lemire.
Who?
This guy Jeff Lemire. I don't know if he's been mentioned on the show or any other show I've ever done, ever, all the time. Look, I love Jeff Lemire. I love that he does slice of life, and he really humanizes characters in his stories, and most of them are like emotionally driven. Like kind of the three that all pop into my head are Trillium, first and foremost, is like a story about love that like connects people and they find each other across space and time.
It's the Lake House, but on a sci-fi scale.
Sci-fi Lake House. I'm sure he would love that to be the review.
Yeah, that's a pull quote you could use. Yeah.
But also in that, the underwater welder is like the love a dad has for his kid and the fear that comes with that, and how that can like also be distracting from the love he has with his wife and all those fears of love. And it's one of the books that's made me cry. There's only a few books that have done that, like reading a comic that I've actually got like choked up or had a tear over. So also Blankets is, I feel like, a classic love story, like young love, what is love type of story in comics. This one, Summer, is another kind of like young kid coming of age, finding what love is and who they are in this world story.
I also really like Scott Pilgrim. It's a good story about like bad relationships leading into more bad relationships and just immaturity taking its toll on you.
The spiral of immaturity and
There's not really there might be like one good relationship in there, but
it's like kind of like not
Scott
learning
and
from
Wells.
Yeah.
A favorite of mine is Alex and Ada. It's like, oh man, that was like a 15-issue run or something.
I know. I think you dropped Alex and Ada actually on the original, the OG Palentines.
You know what? I think I did.
Yeah,
that was when it was like coming out.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like in its run. Yeah,
it was in its run. That is one of the best like love stories I've ever read. It's so well thought out. It's about in the future, you know, people could buy robotic companions, and this guy Alex, his aunt, gets him a robotic companion named Ada, and he's pretty against it at first, and then they form this real love bond. Again, just a real connection that he couldn't form with anybody else, you know. And then there's clearly like laws against that kind of thing, and it gets them into trouble, and they go on the run. And it's just a great love story. It's like a Casablanca level love story, you know, but set in the future in a unrealistic time. It's beautiful. It's great.
Well, before we jump into movies, I think it is Palentine's Day. It's only appropriate that we talk about our favorite pals in fiction. Our favorite like buddy relationships.
I like that.
Because obviously there's this three. Because when I was like thinking about Palentine's Day, I was like, oh, like it's pals hanging out, and then I thought of Broad City.
So good.
That's like
Alana
that is
Abby.
a show about pals.
That is a show about pals. That is
fighting the world together.
Yes,
and
literally.
yes, standing each other for best and worst.
Yeah.
But being there no matter what.
Yeah, that is a perfect pal show.
Yeah, just like they're both so bad for each other sometimes.
Yeah,
but then they
like,
learn and they get through it.
Like the positivity there is great.
It's kind of the same with like on a lesser scale with Workaholics. Like that's the same thing where that's clearly that's a show about you know brothers. Like,
it's too accurate to like houses I've lived in with just like friends where you just do terrible things to each other, but you still got each other's back. It's just
exactly.
It's awful. Yeah.
It's like,
you almost kill each other on
a good show. That's a good show. I shouldn't be ashamed to like
that
it.
first episode hooked me at the very end so hard.
Oh man,
it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I also think, speaking of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, what's his name? Charles kind of has an unhealthy love for Jake.
Yeah, but Charles's obsession with Jake. I think you mean
Joe Latrulio in most things has this weird obsession with people.
Victor Pugh.
But do you have like a best friend, fictional best friend couple?
Yeah, Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne. Like 100%. I think Dick Grayson
I feel
is
like there
the
might
perfect.
be a better.
There is. I was just getting to that. Dick Grayson is the perfect like best friend in DC Comics because everyone likes Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
But a bond that may be even stronger than Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne is Dick Grayson and Tim Drake. That is like that is a brotherhood bond.
Yeah.
That is a pal for life bond, which is awesome.
and that doesn't get expressed enough anymore in modern books.
Thank you.
And that's fine. I'm not angry about it at all.
I also even think like the Damien Dick.
Dick. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like,
Because,
everyone
like,
works so well with Dick
because
Grayson.
that's like such a big brother little brother
Yeah,
relationship.
exactly,
Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, you're being dumb right now, but I'm not gonna leave you. I'm not gonna abandon you. Kind of. Yeah.
Everyone loves Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Like, everyone loves him. He's the most lovable character. And I think that's why you have all these people. Like, he has the biggest network of friends. Anyone who's ever been a Teen Titan or a Titan or a Justice League member is going to be Dick Grayson's friend. Like, easily. He's the greatest friend. Like, he's the best pal.
I think in on the comics note, as far as pals, like, I think of two. One is just like the new Avengers run, which had Wolverine and Spider-Man on the team. But Spider-Man, like, with the Avengers is like the best, like, letting your like friend like join the team.
Yeah.
But then my other one is actually Nightcrawler and Wolverine.
Good palship.
They're really good foils for each other, but also like they disagree, but they're gonna hear each other out and like, okay, maybe I was wrong about this, so I'm gonna the love and respect they had for each other.
That Jason Aaron Wolverine issue where he's
sad.
Yeah, with Nightcrawler's that's good stuff. That's when it finally clicked for me, like how well that relationship worked. So
Yeah,
I get you.
and then they play with it in the TV show a little bit, like because he's always like, he's riffing off like his faith with Wolverine, who's like kind of clashing with like, well, everybody dies.
Yeah.
Like,
Right, exactly.
One for me that sticks out is Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner in The Town. They're
Oh man, yes, that's a good one.
yeah, like it's not like a healthy relationship, but they're basically they just
No.
have each other's backs all the time,
Yeah.
even when they want to like murder each other.
Yeah, Gem.
Great, yeah, Jim. Like when he goes until they're probably gonna have to hurt somebody.
It's like, whose car are we taking?
So
That's
much.
one of the best movie speeches like
It's
ever. It's like, I can't tell you what we're doing. I can't tell you what it's about, but I promise you we're gonna hurt some people.
It's very
Whose car are we taking?
bro love. And
Yeah.
then another good like friendship one is Lorelai and Rory and Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
They're family, but they're also just best friends.
Yeah,
Like,
they're best friends, which is amazing.
yeah. They get each other like other people don't. Gets you invested in that show.
and not to talk about something I've done, but Beard and Frog was purely based on two best friends working together. It's a sci-fi weird comedy, but it's
But
about
again, based
them
on a
sticking
pal-ship
together.
bond,
yeah.
yeah.
And solving things through friendship, basically.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'd say Steven Universe is like a great TV show about love in general.
Yes.
But also like all the characters in that show are all about learning from each other's differences or like misunderstandings of each other and becoming friends or at least not enemies with each other.
Yeah.
And
that show's
finding-
really about like love and acceptance.
Yeah. And
Like in every form.
I mean,
Awesome.
what better Palentine's episode than to bring that up?
Yeah.
So yeah, Steven Universe has been a great run of Steven becoming friends with these alien creatures and then understanding and then like the different dynamics of all different gender fluidity and friendships and misunderstandings and what love can be. And it's a kid show and it's great.
Another cartoon is is Yu Yu Hakusho. I don't know if you ever seen that.
No.
But it's like an anime from the early 90s. Yeah. And it gets crazy like most animes do, but in the early seasons it's the main character, Yusuke, he's like a street punk, and he always gets in fights with this other street punk named Kuwabara. Like by the second or third season, they're best friends, like who like to fight each other, but they're like our buddies, and they have
It's
each other's
the
back.
anime rival.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shamley Champloo.
Yeah, that's another one.
Dragon Ball Z.
I was gonna say Dragon Ball Z does like that same thing, but I don't think they do it well ever.
Okay, yeah.
Interesting.
But they
Okay,
do it a
that's
lot,
Too
like-
campy.
Yeah, but it's the one I think of the most when
That's the one I think of the most. Like I think that's a clear one. That and this is gonna sound bad. I hate to be the guy to bring it up, but it's honest. I think Yu-Gi-Oh does it really well. Oddly enough, between like Yugi and Kaiba, like because there's clearly like disdain on one side of it, but Yugi's clearly like always thinking like no, like we're kind of friends.
Yeah.
You know.
And like even like when that show starts, him and his friends or the Joey interest in him.
Yeah, like they're all like
They're
the
all-
best,
yeah,
but like
they're
that show is
you're gonna
100%
win
about
because
friendship.
we're friends.
exactly, and like like Joey's in the tournaments always. but like he's always rooting for his friend, and his friend's always rooting for him. Like that show is all about friendship. And any of those, like I mean, if you look at like Digimon, like Digimon's 100% about
Pokemon
friendship.
is about
Sailor
friendship.
Moon.
Awesome. Sailor Moon, friendship. Like,
Fighting evil in the moonlight.
Yeah, Sailor Moon is all about friendship.
Yeah, friendship is magic.
Powerpuff
My Little
Girls.
Pony.
My Little Pony. Powerpuff Girls is about friendship and family.
Yeah.
That's a twofer.
And fighting Mojo Jojo.
It's the three
And
Fs.
then- yeah. Fighting Mojo Jojo.
Chemical
Friends
X,
of
more
fa-
like Chemical F.
for friend.
For friend,
Chemical
family,
BFF.
or sugar, spice, and chemical BFF.
So with that, let's jump into movies.
Do we each have like a favorite like love movie? Like a number one favorite.
I have a favorite movie to watch. It's a good movie overall. And then I've watched it with my roommates and bonded with my roommates over it during breakups.
I know where this is going.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Great
Yeah.
movie about love.
Yeah.
Great movie about love and what love means to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like that movie's hilarious to watch when you're happy, but also it's a great like post breakup movie too.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a perfect
yeah.
post breakup
Or
movie.
like to watch like we'd watch it in the house when I lived with like my brother and some roommates, and anytime any one of us had a bad either date or relationship, we were like,
Yeah.
forgetting
All
Sarah
right,
Marshall,
Forgetting Sarah Marshall night. Yeah.
pizza, beer, forgetting Sarah
Yeah,
Marshall.
that is
Yeah.
a perfect movie for that. Yeah. It's so good.
And on that same note, 10 Things I Hate About You.
There you go.
It kind of does the same
The high
things
school
for me.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but in a high school context.
Yeah. And I remember like watching that in high school and being like, oh, this is so cool.
This movie is edgy.
Yeah.
They finally got it.
Two recent ones that stick out are Calling by Your Name and Moonlight. Moonlight more so is like about like loving yourself too, and also
And understanding.
yeah, understanding and like being comfortable with your sexuality, and especially in like groups that like don't accept that usually. And I think that it really benefits from like the three separate eras of his lifetime because people treat you differently in each one,
And how each of that, how like he's kind of grown up with his thoughts on
Yeah.
like love and acceptance through those times. Yeah.
It's also nice that like early on he's got a father figure type that like tells him like it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
And Calling by Your Name is a good like first romance movie.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a tearjerker.
Oh man, best end credits of any movie ever. Along the same lines, like, so I'm always like a classic person. Like I love Casablanca. Like that's my favorite romance story.
Yeah.
Just because of its classic like nature and how old school it is. But like two love stories from the last year that really got me were Love, Simon and To All the Boys I Loved Before, which like both of those just like stuck with me so hard. And kind of for like different reasons, but also the same reasons.
To
But
all
that's-
to all the boys I loved before. It's a little cheesier.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's
Call Me by
she's
Your
like-
Name is like very like sentimental, sweet, and like plays it a little tighter. Where To All the Boys I Loved Before, that and like even Love, Simon
And
are a
Love
little
Simon,
like high
plays
school.
up.
Yeah.
They're super
Cheesy.
high school
Cheesy.
drama.
Feel
But,
good.
yeah.
But it worked.
But you need it sometimes.
And I that stuff usually doesn't do it for me. But both of those they worked so well with me. So I love them both. Largine for life, yeah, it's the best.
Can't wait for that sequel.
Me too.
Then there's like other movies that are like I really like Big Fish.
Yeah.
You know
I
what they
think
say
it's
about
like
Big Fish. Big fish sandwiches in the morning.
you got a Big Fish sandwich, Big Po' Boys. You have to because you
You have to wait.
yeah.
You have to wait. You got to skin it. and-
'Cause it's the whole, like,
it's
red
the whole
fish.
thing.
What is it? It's Red Sky at night, Sailor's Delight. So therefore you would catch the fish, Big
Yep.
Fish in the morning.
Big fish in the morning. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about.
But yeah, Big Fish is like also kind of like this cheesy, like overly romanticized like version of love. But I sometimes like I like watching those like hopeless romantic like pie in the sky movies like that.
It's also got like a good family love thing in it with like the father
And like
son
learning
stuff.
through the story about like because they even call out how the stories are cheesy, but then it's like but look at what it does for the
Exactly.
family and what love is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like Princess Bride is a perfect example
Yeah.
of that. Where like that's like
sometimes you can make love
Exactly
feel that
that.
big and
Yeah.
and fantastical.
yeah, exactly. It's the magic of love.
What do you guys think of Forrest Gump?
No.
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 'Cause I love that
No.
movie. That's like one of the earliest movies I remember seeing like over and over again.
Yeah.
Really?
But like the ending of it always makes me sad when he finds out he has a kid, and then he's like, oh, is he like me? Or I don't know. Like it's cheesy,
Yeah.
but like it gets me in like just the right spot.
That
Just never did it for me.
cheesy for me is like a Wedding Singer.
Mm.
Like young
All
kid
right.
watching Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah.
And, like,
All right.
that one actually has like some heart in it.
Yeah.
And
Listen, if we're gonna talk Adam Sandler movies,
Big Daddy.
no.
Oh.
I hate to use this as an example, but mainly because I think the end makes it work really well. 50 First Dates. The end of that movie really sells that.
Both
that it
Drew
feels
Barrymore, Adam Sandler
genuine.
movies.
Yes, exactly. But I think the end of it really sells it, like the struggle of having to,
Yeah.
upkeep is a rude
Yeah.
word for it, but you know what I mean. Like
You have to work for it.
You have to work for it. Exactly.
You mean-
it's the earnesty of love,
Yeah.
which is cool. Yeah, I think that ending does a lot of legwork for that movie. Like I think that movie's whatever otherwise, but
Did you guys ever watch the Before trilogy?
Oh, before
I've seen,
midnight,
like, 2 of them.
or whatever, before sunset. After,
Yeah, before sunset, before sunrise, and before midnight. I think.
Yeah,
Die Hard Before Midnight,
Yeah.
Die Hard After Sunset,
in a long day in the sun
and
to
A Long
die.
Day in
on.
the Sun to Die Hard, starring Jai Courtney.
I've only seen the first one. So I mean, knowing that there's a trilogy kind of
Yeah,
messes with it, but it's nice because it's
but
just
it's good.
yeah, because it's just about like these
Looking how their love has gone over decades.
yeah, and it's also just like how it endures even when you aren't with each other.
Yeah.
Because I know like was it the first one? Like basically they decide like they're just spending the day together or whatever it is, and then they're like, yeah, let's not trade numbers, but if we still feel like this in like 6 months or whatever, let's visit again.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's also some tragic love stories like Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, Brokeback Mountain. It's
Brokeback Mountain. That's a real
levels
good
of
movie.
tragedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Yeah,
And to me, Let the Right One In is also a tragedy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm specifically talking about like the relationship the vampire has with the old partner who's kind of like growing old and gonna die, but loves this person and
can't let them go.
Yeah.
and they can't let the vampire go. Yeah,
yeah. So it's like, but it's only gonna always end in tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of vampire stuff is like that, but that
It's like that
Pulls
kind
it
of
off.
trope of
Yeah.
that, yeah. And Let the Right One In, I think, is very subtle about it,
Hmm.
because like it's more about a kid, but that's kind of like the backstory of the tragedy
Yeah.
of this vampire.
exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. I just
One that didn't age well, but I will admit I used to like was 500 Days of Summer,
yeah.
which looking back, it's like, wow, that's really unhealthy.
yeah, that's a rough movie to watch now.
Yeah.
JGL is a huge jerk.
yeah, yeah. No one's good in that movie.
Nope. Everyone needs to like sit down and think about their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not be with each other. But I used to like that one, so I had to at least call it out. Oh, Eternal Sunshine. Another tragedy. Kind
Another
of like-
tragedy. Yeah,
yeah.
that is tragic.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Like, defined it.
From Romeo with Love. What's that? What's the remake?
Yep. Romeo Must Die.
Romeo Must Die. From Romeo with Love. What's
One that's kind of, I guess it's sort of a tragic love story, but it's like a tragic friendship story. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It straight up tells me it's like, yeah, this is
Like, yeah, and they misdirect you so hard. Spoilers for Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. They misdirect you so hard on it. I mean, you think like, no, this is not gonna end up the way that we think it is, and then it does end up the way you think it is. But that's a great story and
The Fault in Our Stars.
Fault in Our Stars.
I think I like Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl more.
Yeah, I dig that movie so hard.
Oh, I just thought of another Pals one.
yeah. Me too.
The Warriors.
Ah,
It's about a bunch of friends trying to get
You're right.
trying to get home safely.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Just like Homeward Bound.
Yeah.
That was the one I thought.
One I was thinking of was Thoroughbreds. But these
Which I still haven't seen.
Shit,
So.
but it's
One
like
of the best movies of last year, easily.
two like dysfunctional girls who find each other and become friends. Yeah.
That's such a good
Yeah.
movie. Ugh.
Another one that's like Starts off like with what's it called? Edge of 17. That's a good one. Covers like friendships and relationships.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, and Haley Steinfeld. I'm telling you, she rocks. It's a good movie.
It is.
That's a real good movie.
Rewatched it after those tweets. Yeah.
Nice. Another great Pals one, 50-50.
Yeah, also
with
JGL. A good JGL.
That's a good JGL one because that's purely about friendship and brotherhood, which is awesome. Him and Seth Rogen and JGL gets cancer. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
A bad one with JGL is The Night Before? Or whatever it's called, the Christmas one.
Really, I've only heard good things about that.
It's really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Michael Shannon makes a...
He's the best part.
Oh, Michael Shannon loves that JGL boy. Let me tell you.
Like 90% of that is just boring.
Ooh, another toxic love one would be with JGL, Inception.
Ooh, yeah. Literally.
Interesting. That's a good way to describe that. Yeah, it is a toxic love story. Yeah. That is a story about learning to let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About loving too much and learning to let go.
And accepting what you had, but not trying to hold on to it where it takes over your life.
It's kind of like what Shutter Island is about, too.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
Past relationships and mistakes.
Yeah. I just think,
Up with you.
oddly enough, I think Inception's a little more graceful than Shutter Island.
More,
Yeah.
And then Shutter
I
Island.
like Shutter Island a lot.
And then Shutter Island segues into Titanic,
Yep.
Yeah.
which is another love story.
And Wolf of Wall Street. Another Leonardo DiCaprio love story
already
about
said.
a toxic love story
Between him and drugs.
between him and money.
Romeo plus Juliet.
Romeo plus Juliet. Another toxic love story.
Basketball Diaries.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Another love story.
That's another not great movie that makes me sad.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah. Like in the same vein as Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Are there any in person like real couples that like you either like to see, whether it's celebrities or
Like
in your
aspiring.
life? Yeah, aspiring couples.
Mine definitely, first one I always think of is Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They just seem like a cool couple.
That's a great couple.
like aged well.
Yeah.
That's a great couple.
I don't really hear bad things about them.
Yeah, especially like in the Hollywood scene where a lot of it was like done for publicity. Sometimes, like especially like in the early 2000s and stuff. I have one that's like a real life one, and it's me and my wife. No big deal. My wife. No, but I am happy. I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight. Like, I'm sorry, Malcolm. I have to talk about my wife.
Keep going.
I'm very happily married back in 2018 I got married. But my grandparents were always a very positive couple in my life. Both of them passed away, but they just had this great dynamic where they would like caravan and like a little like not mobile home RV. Yeah, an RV together, and like my grandpa was a woodworker and stuff. Like when I knew him, but they were married forever. And when my grandpa got sick and was dying, he refused to be in the hospital because he didn't want to waste our family's money on the hospital bills, but also he wanted to sleep next to his wife, my grandma. And he said because if he was going to go out, he'd want to go out next to her. So like, and this was like when I was already over 18 when this happened. So I was like old enough to see that and be like, oh my God, I love you, Grandpa. Yeah. And he passed away like right after Easter. And my grandma goes, he was waiting for the holiday to like end. It was like the cutest. Yeah. So I called them my turtle grandparents because they had desert tortoises. And that's how, when we'd go over there, be like, we're going to Turtle Grandma and Grandpa. So
That's cute.
yeah. Shout out to them.
That's really cute.
Yeah. I thought of a couple. Johnny Cash
In June.
and June Carter.
Yeah.
I think like they are like depicted as having like problems, but they like stuck it out and everything.
They walked the line.
Yeah, they walked the line. I walked the line.
I walked the line.
Burning ring of
Fire. And the burns. A ring of fire. A ring of fire.
Neil Gaiman and Amanda Palmer, because they're both two creative types. And then Matt Fraction and Kelly Sue DeConnick, who are also two creators that are married to each other. But
That is a great.
you're it's cool to see them having been married, and like they met on a Warren Ellis blog. And then like Neil Gaiman and his wife, they both, I think they have like an open relationship, but like they have a healthy relationship is what it looks like. And yeah, but it's cool to see like creative couples out there, because you see like so many celebrities who are creators and then it doesn't work whether it's ever real or not or anything. So it's always weird. It's good to see the inspirational as like a creator myself.
Another one for me was Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan Tatum, who they're not together anymore.
Well.
But they're still friends, like they're so close. Yeah,
Yeah, if there's a healthy
cool, yeah.
split, yeah, it's like that's good. Yeah.
You don't have to be together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we got together and got to bond over being pals in Tyne.
Yeah. Okay. Aside from that joke, I love you guys. Yikes. I mean, this was great, and I just, for me, I love doing this with you guys. You guys are my pals. You're my brosifs, my Brodinskis, my Monica Brodinskis, my
Vincent Van Bros.
Vincent Van Bros. Yep.
Hope there's another episode on the Bro Horizon.
Oh, there definitely is. There definitely is. Deep water broizing.
Tragedy.
The Advent Verizon is
Do you see?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have anything else.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're just celebrating friendship and love. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna hold each other now, so you guys don't have to listen to that part. Thank you so much for listening to this, though.
If you pay for Patreon, you'll hear it all.
You'll hear it all.
Picks in the drop down. No.
Future bonus episode. Bonus episode.
And if you want to hear more from this podcast and more other podcasts that we are related to, go over to geeksrising.com.
Yes.
And if you enjoyed the show,
Learn some
sweet.
love there. Share some love there.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Review. Thanks for listening to this episode on the subject. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it, subscribe, rate us on whatever podcast source you're using. For more content or to reach out to us, follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at On The Subject. And for more details, links are in our show notes. Thanks again.